Unit positioning alongside unit composition and use of upgrades and power make up the majority of what decide the outcome of a match. Unit will always target the unit they can reach in the shortest amount of time. This is typically the closest unit, but not always. Unit with slow turning speed may attack a more distant target instead of a closer target. There may be more factors that affect what a unit targets. The unit is being shot at by a possible target. It will continue to attack that target as long as it's alive and in range. Units move at different speeds in order for a marksman who is slow and a unit of crawlers, which are fast, to enter attack range at the same time. You will need to put the crawler at least 5 or 6 tiles behind the marksman in order for the crawler to be slightly ahead of the marksman when they reach the combat. Ideally, you want your entire army to enter a combat at roughly the same time. A unit that sprints ahead of the rest of your army and charge into every range unit your opponent has is a waste of resource. Units in the front take all the damage, therefore tanks and spam should be in the front line. These units are typically all that stand between your units and your opponent's backline. Units in the backline are usually protected from damage when placed behind frontline units. DPS units and snipers will typically be deployed here. The unit with a larger range usually get a first shot, which is particularly important for powerful but fragile units like the Marksman. Unit with short range can also affect the battlefield. Melee unit will always charge the enemy front line, the closest enemy, and become the target for the enemy range units. Steel balls also have a short range and will frequently end up in the front line. Unit types: Spam and Chaff. The main benefit of a Chaff unit is to draw fire away from your larger or more valuable units. Such units are Crawlers, Fang, Wasp, and Mustang. These units allow your single target damage dealer to freely target larger units instead of chaff units. Crowd control units usually trade lower damage per shot for an area of effect attack able to hit multiple targets. Such units are the Arclights, Stormcallers, Vulcans, Mustangs, and Sledgehammers. Snipers deal high amount of damage to a single target and may take them out with one shot. This unit typically have a low fire rate, making them weak against spam. Marksman, Phoenix, and Fortress. DPS deal lots of damage over time at the cost of low initial damage. Such units are the Steel Ball, the Melting Point, and the Crawler. The Melting Point is devastating against single targets, poor against large group unless upgraded. Tanks are vulnerable to DPS and sniper units due to their high damage output, but can efficiently draw fire from area of damage attacks. Air units and flyers: Phoenix, Wasp, and Overlords. Air units are unique in that they are immune to ground effects like acid and fire trails and cannot be attacked by most ground units. These units are typically more fragile than their grounded counterparts, such as Overlords have less health points than the other three giants. While there are only limited amount of units who can attack air units, all of these units present credible threat to a flyer. Such units are Marksmans, Fangs, Mustangs, Melting Points. Also with tech can be the Arclight and the Fortress. The Hacker is a special unit who can overtake enemy units and make them change sides. Highly effective against larger numbers of giants or a single unit like Rhinos. The Crawler is the most versatile unit in the game. You can poke around the enemy defense a bit with the cheap crawlers, and if you see an opening you can do 2 attacks in a single turn to completely surprising them. Fangs are cheap, slow-moving, and versatile chaff unit that can be effectively at killing fragile air units such as Wasp and Phoenix. Unlike crawlers, Fangs can attack and deal damage before the squad is wiped out by enemy fire. While any unit will benefit from having tech upgrades, they are particularly impactful when affecting a large number of units at once. If you are mainly using Fangs to absorb fire for your more important units, the portable shield upgrade makes them far more durable against both damage of the Marksman and the Fortress, while making them noticeably more durable against units with weak but numerous attacks, such as Mustangs and other Fangs. However, this upgrade does a little to increase their durability against most area of damage attack, or either hit multiple times per attack like the Stormcaller's Overlord, or can attack fast enough to kill units through the shield like the Arclight. Wasps can be played in many different ways depending on the board state and your tech choice. In early game you can use Wasps as harassment unit with a jump drive and a mobile beacon. Later on you can add Rhino in front of them to power through the defense, or just to switch to defensive formation and jump drive the Wasp back and use them as a mid shield. You can use them as your main damage deal unit as they deal insane amount of damage. The key in this strategy is to get early level on the Wasp. In the later rounds you can't block damage coming to them with the frontline units, and the only way to go elite marksman range on them is to keep them safe. Most often Wasps are used as a mid shield. One good trick is also to use them to block sentry missiles. The missiles have a big splash radius, and if you have clumped up ground units who would all die, you can tank the missiles with the Wasp, and the splash will hit only the air units. Mustangs are fast, reasonably cheap light tanks designed to shred lightly armored units with their high rate of fire attacks. Mustangs are effective against all air units and are reasonably effective at dealing with chaff units due to their high rate of fire. Mustangs are ineffective against any unit with reasonably high L points per unit, like the steel balls and the sledgehammers, and deal almost no damage to units with the armor enhancement upgrade. Since Mustangs come in a group of 12, they can be useful for drawing fire from a single target damage dealer such as a Marksman or Fortress. Although they have a high movement speed, non-upgrade Mustangs aren't as effective against Stormcallers. Mustangs are vulnerable to rocket fire when they stop moving in order to attack, particularly against a high L points enemy. Most of the Mustang's upgrades focus on improving its damage and allow them to utilize high explosive ammo and aerial specialization to effectively deal with chaff and air units. One notable exception is a missile intercept, which allows Mustangs to shoot down missiles from Stormcallers and Overlords, along with the rockets launched by the certain tech upgrades like from the Vulcan incendiary bombs and the sentry missiles. As a general rule, 3 units of Mustang can consistently intercept the missile of 1 unit of Stormcaller. 2 units of Mustang can intercept about 7 volley before getting overwhelmed and let more and more missiles pass. Note that Mustangs attempting to intercept missiles cannot simultaneously shoot at units and lose about 20 to 40% DPS. The Arclight is a slow-moving ground unit that specializes in a killing group of fragile units with its range area of attack. The Arclight has enough damage to kill crawlers, fangs, mustangs and wasps in a single shot, and has high enough attack speed and range to destroy a chaff unit before they can deal significant damage or draw too much fire from your stronger units. The second is a damage dealer. With enough levels and offensive tech upgrades, Arclight become long-range, high DPS units capable of attacking ground and air units. Fully upgraded Arclights are similar in function to the Marksman. Arclights fire significantly faster and aren't countered by chaff units. However, it takes an enormous amount of investment in order to make the Arclight this powerful, and typically isn't worth it. Non-upgrade Arclights have a number of weaknesses. They can't hit air units without anti-aircraft ammunition and struggle to damage non-chaff units like the Sledgehammers opposing the Arclights. Their slow speed also makes them vulnerable to Stormcallers. The Stormcaller is a fragile, long-range artillery platform designed to decimate groups of enemies from distance. The Stormcaller rocket barrage is unique in that it deals substantial damage to both single targets and to chaff units, enabling Stormcallers to cripple or outright kill grounded units too slow to evade its attacks. A few units of Stormcallers deal enough single target damage to threaten even giant units, and the area of attack on its rockets become more useful in later rounds, where there are more and more units that could potentially be hit by the rocket volley. While the Stormcaller possesses incredible damage potential, it also has a number of weaknesses. Stormcallers are fragile and cannot attack adjunct units, meaning that units like crawlers and Rhino that can get inside its attack range will destroy them. Stormcallers have no way to attack air units and require anti-air support. The rockets can also be shot out of the air by Mustangs with a missile interception, severely limiting the Stormcaller damage output until the Mustangs are destroyed. As a general rule, 3 units of Mustangs will consistently intercept a missile of 1 unit of Stormcallers. If you have more Stormcallers, eventually some of your rockets will successfully land. Though the Stormcallers has a powerful attacks, the rockets it fire are unguided and take a while to reach its destination. Fast units such as crawlers, Rhino, and steel balls are natural fast enough to outrun Stormcaller rockets, while slower units that have had their speed increase, like speed specialist, mechanical rage, can evade some of the Stormcaller's rockets, noticeably decreasing its damage output. The rocket also have a low accuracy and spread the damage over a wide area. Against a shield and giant, this is no problem, but smaller units only get hit by a few rockets. The Vulcan is a giant unit that specializes in destroying large group of ground units with a powerful area of attack damage. The Vulcans are one of the strongest counter to the enemy armies that feature a large number of chaff units, are especially deadly against crawlers. Vulcans cannot attack air units and struggle to damage units with high L point stats like Rhino and Fortress. A Vulcan with increased damage like veterancy and items or the scorching flame damage upgrade has enough damage to efficiently kill more durable units such as the steel balls, the Sledgehammers that will normally be able to withstand the Vulcan attack. The Vulcan is a good synergy with units with high damage per shot, such as the Marksman, because the Vulcan can easily clear chaff units that would otherwise interfere with their targeting while allowing the supporting units to freely attack single targets. If the player has upgraded their Marksman, running Vulcan with the best partner upgrades can be strong unit combination. The Vulcan incredibly bombs are one of the few ways to damage units' shield. The Vulcan will shoot bombs in front of the shield units and they will take damage when they walk over the flame. Sledgehammers are durable, well-rounded range attackers that don't specialize in killing any particular unit. Their damage per shot allow them to kill Mustangs in 1 hit, while Arclight are destroyed in 1 to 2 volley of fire. The area on their attack make them reasonably effective against chaff units, though they don't fire quickly enough to counter them outright. In general, Sledgehammers are effective against ground units with low damage per shot and high rate of fire. Sledgehammers are vulnerable to Stormcaller due to their slow speed and size of each individual tank. They lack any means to attack air units and are vulnerable to high damage per shot attack, making them particularly weak to Phoenix. Sledgehammer also trade poorly into steel balls. They are durable enough to withstand the Sledgehammer attack and their high DPS laser chew through the Sledgehammer efficiently. Sledgehammers are weak when under level. Over level, Sledgehammers can trade favorably with many different ground units, but under level Sledgehammers can struggle to meaningfully impact the battlefield. The Marksman is an inexpensive unit that specializes in destroying a single target with a powerful long-range attacks. Its fragile defense and its low fire rate make them vulnerable to squad with high units count, such as crawlers or Mustangs. Marksman also vulnerable to any unit that can match or exceed its range. By default, only Stormcallers can outrange Marksman, but many units can purchase range upgrades to trade shots with them. A team of Marksmen deployed in the back of your army can easily rack up kills from a safe distance. Placing them too far back can leave them easily tied down by chaff units placed on the flanks. Since they are cheap and can be fielded relatively early, Marksmen can rapidly gain experience and level given the relative safety from which they kill units. A level 2 Marksman can take out a Sledgehammer tanks in one shot instead of 2, halving the time a Marksman needs to destroy the squad, while team of veteran Marksmen have high enough damage to threaten even giant units, making them very cost-effective counter to frontline units such as Fortress and Vulcans if they are level up in that late game. The Phoenix is a long-range flying unit that excels at dealing high single target damage to both air and ground units. The Phoenix share many similarities to the Marksman in that they are both fragile, long-range damage dealers designed to take out single targets. While more expensive than the Marksman, the Phoenix move much more faster and can fly. Attack from units like Sledgehammers and Stormcallers that will threaten a Marksman won't affect them. Phoenix also have higher damage per shot than the Marksman, letting the Phoenix kill durable units like the Sledgehammers more efficiently. The Fortress is a large and powerful giant unit that uses its massive shoulder mount cannon to inflict single target damage on ground targets from a long distance. Unlike the similarly ranged Marksman, whose upgrades mainly focus on increasing its combat ability, the Fortress' vast array of upgrades allow it to fulfill a variety of roles. Upgrades like barrier and armor enhancement allow the fortress to sponge heavy damage from the incoming attack and draw area of effect attack away from your more fragile units, while upgrades such as range enhancement and double shot can turn the fortress into a weapon platform able to decimate enemy units from afar. Steel balls are a fast-moving, short-range unit whose beam attack is designed to rapidly shred high L-points units. They excel against high L-points units with either low range or low fire rate and are weak to chaff units and all air units, as they target ground units only. Steel balls have a very good synergy with Mustangs, as they share the same movement speed and cover each other's weakness. Mustangs can efficiently defeat both flying units and chaff that would otherwise draw the steel balls' fire, which allow the steel balls to destroy the high L-points units Mustangs struggle to deal with. Steel balls can be recruited fairly early in the game. If you have a strong, aggressive start, they alone can win you the game. Damage sharing and mechanical division make the steel balls much more resilient to high burst damage units, while energy absorption and armor enhancement allow the steel balls to stay alive against units that deal damage over time, like the Fangs and the Crawlers. The melting point is a sentient giant walking death ray. It's specialized in dealing unparalleled single-target damage to high L-points unit. This is excellent answer to other 3 giant units due to their large L-point pool and slow speed. Similar to the steel ball, the melting point attack using a laser that deal more damage the longer its fire, can target air units as well as ground. The damage of the melting points need time to build up. It takes about 36 seconds to deal a total of 1 million damage. About 5 seconds longer than a fully charged laser would take. As a rule of thumb, it takes about 4 seconds for the laser to deal its first instance of maximum damage and 2 seconds for the next after that. Maximum damage is applied on every subsequent instance of damage. The melting point is also a good answer to enemy shield and barrier, as its laser will typically shred through them. The melting points struggle to kill units with high unit counts such as Fangs, but are also vulnerable to units with good single target damage that outrange it, such as the Marksman or the Stormcaller. Having high damage doesn't matter if the melting point is destroyed before it can fire. Despite their size and ability to regain health with energy absorption, melting points are best placed behind other units. Partly to give your army time to clear your opponent's chaff, and partly if your chaff divert fire away from your melting points. The melting points upgrade mainly focus on altering its standard attack in a different way. Energy absorption gives the melting point a flat L points boost along with the ability to heal itself as its attack. This upgrade can allow it to defeat several squads at once as long as there aren't too many individual units to target. Range enhancement is the key for fighting other long-range units that would otherwise threaten the melting points. Energy diffraction alters its beam attack to be more effective against smaller units of durable enemies such as the steel balls or the sledgehammers, while electromagnetic barrage allows the melting points to fire long-range EMP missiles at the enemy force, potentially slowing them down and disable the attack of multiple units at once. The Rhino is a fast, durable melee unit that charges into enemy units in order to deal devastating damage at close range with its dual saw blade arms. The Rhino attack also have a small area of effect that make it decent at killing high unit count squads such as Fangs, although its area of damage doesn't cover wide enough area to clear a unit of chaff in 1 or 2 attacks. The Rhino is also fast enough to outrun unguided rockets from the Stormcaller and the Overlord. limiting damage it takes from those units, and its speed and damage make it effective units to place on enemy flanks. It is relatively difficult to efficiently counter a Rhino with a single unit. It can trade with most enemy units reasonably well, while air units will need to constantly move to catch up with it as it sprints past them. A melting point can efficiently kill Rhino, but they are an expensive answer at 400 supply. Rhino also have a good synergy with crawlers. They share similar speed and range, and crawlers can absorb the high damage attack that would normally threaten the Rhino. As powerful as they are, the Rhino have a number of key weaknesses. Rhino can't attack air units. Their other main weakness is their short range. The Rhino need to charge headlong into the enemy fire in order to begin attacking, which become harder to do the longer a game lasts. If your Rhino need to sustain fire from 5 or 6 enemy units, it's become far less likely that they will make it into a melee range, and their tendency to run ahead of the rest of the units also make them particularly susceptible to the enemy hacker. The Overlord is a unit that need to be protected. If your opponent keep committing to medium-sized ground units like Stormcallers, Sledgehammers or Steel Balls, the Overlord is a great choice. You can use Hacker for two purposes, just as a barrier for your Fangs and Mustangs, or as a response to medium-sized units such as Steel Balls, Sledgehammers, Rhino and Arclights. They can also hack giant but require a lot of support in doing so. Your board state must be dominant in this situation. Only exception is when facing a Vulcan, the hacker barrier prevents the Vulcan from doing damage and it's easy hack. Tarantula is an heavily armored unit that can withstand a lot of damage. Its two rapid-fire autocannon are very effective against small and medium-sized units. The Tarantula can mount two mines laying case on its back, which will fire two self-moving spider mines every 15 seconds. These mines race toward the enemy units at high speed, detonating on contact with 9 meters of blast radius and dealing 4.5k damage per level. Spider mines are perfect for taking out enemy crawlers or constantly producing interrupting chaff. However, their explosion can also damage your units. Use the mines to hunt down fast-moving or numerous enemy units like crawlers and interrupt their advance. Deploy the Tarantula tech early to ensure steady stream of spider mines. Position them near area with every crawler activity. Their fast speed and AoE damage will neutralize the swarm before they can become overwhelming. Just keep your unit at a safe distance to avoid friendly fire. Keep leveling up the Tarantula for a bigger damage and health boost. The Tarantula can also be used against aerial units using the anti-aircraft ammunition tech upgrade. The Scorpion has high offensive and defensive stats. This allows for some powerful build and make it one of the strongest units against medium units like Sledgehammers and Steel Balls. The field maintenance ability can be quite strong and heal out most of the damage. Armor enhancement increase the health points as well, allow for a strong tank build that require very high damage per seconds to counter. This build can only be countered with EMS and beam units, melting points and steel balls, but since the Scorpion has such high damage, these units get destroyed faster than the Scorpion if not protected. Scorpion can only attack ground units. It is quite weak against any attack from air units, making them ideal counter. Using the Siege mode tech, increasing the attack range to 180, but reduce the damage by 40% and prevent attack within 75 meters. The range enhancement add extra 40 to the attack range, giving a total range of 220. Position the Scorpion far back in your formation to maintain the maximum range advantage. The Sandworm is a formidable giant melee unit specializing in burrowing underground, allowing it to approach enemies without taking damage while beneath the surface. The Sandworm tech abilities can be used as a tanky survival build using the armor enhancement to boost health points and block damage, making the Sandworm highly durable. Underground maintenance recover health points back while burrowed underground. That is focused on burrowing frequently for healing and absorbing damage, making the Sandworm an unkillable tank in long battles. For aggressive DPS build, using the Mechanical Rage, which increase the movement speed and reduce the attack interval, boosting the DPS. The Wow Factory can be utilized as a backline summoning station or a strong frontliner with anti-missile tech. You can move it around with a mobile beacon to further delay it getting in our way. With the anti-missile tech, it's a very good response to a mass Stormcallers or mass Overlords. If you want to be proactive with the Wow Factory, you need to start with the summoning tech and set up them early game somehow by using the same units and upgrade them, or picking up improved steel balls or sledge cards, as the Wow Factory will summon the improved version. This unit has an upkeep of 200 per round, so it truly is a late game unit, and I think it doesn't make any sense economy wise to start building them before round 5. There are some more units in the game which are rare units. Rare units can only be unlocked by cards. If you got the right card, only then you can use some of them, but most likely not all of them together in a single match. Some of those units are the Fire Badgers, the Sabertooth, the Typhoon, and the Farseer. Fire Badgers are smaller, more affordable version of Vulcans, but with a shorter range. The Fire Badger is a fast anti-swarm flamethrower tank, perfect for close-range crowd control. Use the napalm to ignite 15-meter area for sustained burn damage, or ignite to melt single target with 6% health points lost per second. Boost durability with field maintenance for healing, or unleash a scorching flames to double its attack for pure devastation. With the range enhancement, extend its flamethrower to 100 meter, giving it room to roast enemy from a safer distance. Great for aggressive defense and punishing light units. Sabertooth are larger, more expensive version of the Sledgehammers, but with far superior gun. With their relative high health points and damage output, they excel in the early to mid game as effective tanks and can deal significant damage to medium and large ground targets. The Sabertooth is a heavy tank armed with a twin artillery cannon, perfect for smashing medium and large ground units. Use the range enhancement to extend its range to 135 meters for a safer engagement. Add field maintenance to boost health points and heal 4.5% per second for more durability. Equip missile intercept to shoot down incoming missiles and protect your force, or go all in with a double shot firing 2 shells for 12k burst damage. The Typhoon feels like a mix between heavy hacker and a Mustangs. It has a good tanking capabilities, especially with its barrier ability. Combining with its rapid fire attack and splash damage, this unit excels at wiping out all of a kind of a spam. Ideal for holding the line while dishing out non-stop damage. The Farseer is a fast tactical support vehicle armed with missile launcher. With 125 meter range and 8 meter splash damage, it excels at dealing consistent area damage. Use its speed to reposition quickly and keep it safe from providing cover for your army. Its high burst damage and support make it ideal for softening enemy lines or defending strategic point. Pair it with frontline tanks to maximize its impact. It can attack both ground and air targets. Thanks to its long range and versatility, the Farseer is well suited for covering your flanks or defending against abilities like the Wasp Swarm.